washing and decontaminating without a hose. Hi, I'm Ivan, this is DIY Detail, and today we're going to wash this beautiful Mitsubishi behind me and decontaminate it without a hose. Many of you don't have access to a garden hose or a pressure washer. We're going to show you different strategies on how to do that. And let me introduce you to today's guest stars. We have the lowly spray bottle. It works, it does the job, and you can actually do it with this without a problem. You're going to have a sore wrist by the end of it, but it can be done. Next, a garden sprayer. Now, this is an inexpensive garden sprayer. It was under $15. It was on sale today. Holds 2 gallons, and with any of these that are pressurized by pumping, you never want to fill them more than half. Next, we have a few battery-powered options, and these are inexpensive. These are Ryobi tools, but there's other brands as well that have very similar things. There's this small sprayer here, nice and quiet, sprays well. Next up is this one. It uses their larger battery system. It has a nice fine mist, but unfortunately the sprayer is not adjustable on it. Next, we have the IK Multi and Foamer. Now, the foamer can be used as a sprayer, but you hear that sound, it's wanting to foam, that's why it has that sound. And this one's the sprayer. Again, works well. Next up on the price chart, and these are ordered by price, this is another one from Ryobi, and there's a lot of these are available. This is a 1 gallon model, there's 2 gallons, there's 5 gallon models, but has a nice spray and it's adjustable as well. So if you want to stream, you can. And if you want to spray, you can do that as well. Next is a battery-powered pressure washer. So the end of this is in a bucket. We're not having to connect this to a hose. You can connect it to a hose if you want, but it works well and it gives you a little more volume of water for rinsing away stuff like iron remover and water spot remover. Then we have the IK Foamer, and they also make a sprayer like this. This one is a foamer. You've seen it on the channel many times doing wheels. And as we go up in price, but also convenience, we have the keg. Now, these you can make yourself, or we have a link down below where you can buy one. This one we have Rinseless Wash in. It's just a great tool for doing the job. And if you're a professional, you might want to invest in these latter ones instead of the earlier ones. If you're doing this at home though, all of these will work, all of these will do the job, and we're going to show you all of them throughout this process so you can see exactly what we're doing. First up, the keg. You've seen it on the channel before, and we're going to be rinseless washing this car. Now, this is a garage-kept car, so I'm not worried about dust or anything on it. It hasn't been driven in a long time. It was driven here. It just has a very, very tiny amount of dust, so I'm not really concerned about doing a foam rinse foam or a chemical rinse chemical. We're just going to be applying the rinseless and washing the vehicle. So you can see we're getting really quick, even coverage here. The keg provides roughly about 90 psi of pressure. And as you can see, a good volume of spray. And the nozzle is adjustable. So if you wanted to have a stream, you can. We have the Rinseless Wash emulsifying the dust on the surface. I have Rinseless Wash at 256 to 1 or half an ounce to a gallon or 4 milliliters to a liter in my wash bucket. I'm going to wash the vehicle. Now, if you don't have this sponge, you can use a wash mitt, you can use microfiber towels, but the sponge is by far the safest method and the most efficient method of using a rinseless wash. If any of you are into cooking, it's like trying to beat an egg with a whisk or beating an egg with a fork. The whisk is more efficient, the sponge is more efficient, but you can get it done with a fork. You notice how the dust is elevated into the beads. If I want to get rid of that before drying or going to the next step, I just go back over it with a sponge. You can see the sponge has absorbed that dirt off the surface. The nice thing about the no hose method is I can actually wait till the end to do the wheels if I want to. Very nice little change of pace. Those of you that appreciate performance vehicles, this particular Mitsubishi has over 500 horsepower to the front wheels only. It's a little scary of a ride. The owner of this car has a great sense of humor, laughing at V8s as he's driving. Now, some people wonder, where is the dirt going that I'm taking into my sponge? When I bring it back to the wash bucket, it's in the wash bucket and it's actually going below the grit guard, meaning we're left with a nice clean sponge to go back onto the vehicle. Next step in the decontamination process, iron remover. Very simple, one spray on the towel, one spray on the panel. Where I sprayed is where I match them up, and then I decontaminate. New panel, new side, one spray there, match them up, and off we go. And like I mentioned, this vehicle is extremely well cared for, so not a lot of contamination to deal with. The reason for doing this decontamination on a seemingly contamination-free vehicle is we'll be polishing and coating this afterwards. So we want to make sure that we have a nice clean surface to do so. After 4 panels, dunk my towel, refold it, make sure it's properly folded, and move on to the next section. If you're an apartment dweller and you don't have a hose, there's a good chance you also don't have a garage to work in. This is something that can be done outside. There's no need to worry. Even if the iron remover dries a little bit on the surface, even with these low pressure options, you'll be able to rinse it away. People have asked us a lot, yes, but when doing it this way, you're probably not decontaminating. And they like to do it this way, by spraying a lot of product on the surface, put a lot there. We'll let it sit for a few minutes and we'll see if there's any red streaks coming out of the paint. I have a small one there, and that's about it. The rest is clean. So there's no need to do that. And where I haven't sprayed, there is still a bit of streaking. That's because the iron remover continues to do its job after you've used the towel. So far, this process has been the same as the rest of our videos, but now we need to flush off the iron remover from the surface. And we have a selection of tools over there. Let me get a couple of them. We'll see what they can do. On the lower end of the spectrum, we have this little sprayer. And honestly, it's doing the job, but not quite enough volume. And I'd probably go through this little tank very quickly. So, can it be used? Yes. Should it be used? There might be a better option. Let's see what's next. The garden sprayer, and this is actually one of the better options here because we can adjust the volume. And now we have enough flow to actually flush the surface, getting in and around the lights and the seams. So for under $20, you have a good option here. The downside of this is you need to keep pumping it. I'll only get a panel or two before having to repump. This holds a gallon of water. Actually, it holds 2, but you never want to fill more than halfway. You want at a minimum as much air as you have water, and right now the pressure is getting too low, so pump it up to get a little more pressure. We'll keep flushing down the panel. And that little lather that you see, that is from the iron remover. We're just going to keep pushing it down the panel till we get it off the panel. And the goal here is to get the iron remover off the surface. Now, one way to speed this process up would be to actually grab a drying towel, one that you're not overly fond of anymore, and dry the surface first, then rinse it again like we're doing here. Now, next up on the list, so let's see what these two can do. This one, too fine of a mist. For applying some products, this probably would be good, but in this case, it isn't. With the IK, we can adjust the nozzle, get a little more volume, which again is what we want here. But like the bug sprayer or the weed sprayer, you're gonna have to pump this up a little more frequently. So between this and the bug sprayer, I would actually choose the bug sprayer because you have a larger volume. And you can get some of those bug sprayers in a 5-gallon container. So if you don't have access to water and you're having to carry buckets down from your apartment to the driveway, then having a little more volume as you're carrying it down might be a good thing. But rather impressed with this, it's doing what it needs to do. This battery operated one holds more volume and I can adjust the sprayer to what I want. It's a little too fine. So with this, I'm getting a good flushing action. And I can use all the liquid in the tank without having to stop, without having to pump. Now, it does mean you need to have batteries, you need to have a charger. So again, that might not be convenient for you. But there are options. And it's nice and quiet. That's a big plus. One thing that this does as well is forces you to be more methodical. You notice I did the front bumper first, then I did the hood. Not a good idea on my part. So I had to respray the front bumper. So it forces you to get a little better strategy. That's this one. Let's go to the next one. Now this one you can have it taking water from a bucket. You can also put a 2-liter pop bottle on here. Kind of a nice little feature. Or other ways of getting a container here. And let's see. So obviously a much faster, more efficient way of doing it. And this has different, that was the rinse feature. We also have a 15-degree feature, which is more like traditional pressure washer. And it has different levels. So we'll put on speed 3. We have more pressure there. And you can see we didn't take much out of the bucket. We did this side with less than half a gallon. Next step, water spot remover. We're going to liberally apply to the surface. Allowing it to dwell a little bit, but I'm also going to rub it in with a rinseless dampened towel for agitation. Now, some people have asked us, can I leave the iron remover on the surface and then use the water spot remover? Not a good strategy. They have a slight chemical incompatibility, and the iron remover will neutralize the water spot remover, so you don't want it there. Each one of them has a job to do. Let them do their job independently of each other. Rinseless dampened towel. I don't want a rinseless soaked towel. And I'm not going to wring it out over the floor. I'm going to wring it out over my bucket, putting less water on the floor. From there, I'm going to spread the water spot remover. I'm not putting pressure. I'm just lightly agitating just to make sure that it's actually touching every part of the paint. Plus, that little agitation helps get the more tenacious minerals off the surface. I don't want to flip. I almost flipped my towel there. I don't want to flip the towel. I know the surface is clean from having it washed and decontaminated mechanically with the towel plus the iron remover. So now I'm just going after the minerals. By not flipping the towel, I'm spreading the product. I'm not taking it off the surface. Now the fact that I sprayed it, I could have just let it sit there for a few minutes and rinse it off, but this is a much better way of doing it. It takes an extra minute or two, not a concern, but at the same time gives us a better job. Our water spot remover can go on glass, not something that all water spot removers can do, so be sure to read the instructions. Some implicitly say do not put on glass. If you're doing this in direct sunlight, you might want to do half the car first and then the other half. If it dries, it's not really a big concern. But you just want to make sure that it doesn't bake in the sun. There is a difference between just drying on the surface and baking on the surface. A few minutes of drying, not a big deal. Hours of baking in direct sunlight, yeah, it could be a bigger deal. Now, one thing all of these steps allows me to do is also inspect the surface. And I noticed here, as I was going by, this car's been polished more than once. Factory Mitsubishi paint didn't have this minimal amount of orange peel. And you can see at some point, someone actually polished through this edge. So when we're polishing this car, you have to be very, very gentle. We're just gonna polish to enhance. We're not gonna be polishing to correct. Now this I don't want to put back in my bucket. It's slightly acidic because of the water spot remover. I'm just gonna wring it out and at an appropriate time, rinse it with fresh water, and then I can launder it. Time to rinse it off again. Of all the options, the lowest budget one, or second to lowest budget, this is actually very effective. And then the battery operated pressure washer, of course, wins the game. And the battery operated tank sprayer, the larger one, also does a good job. But since I still have a bit of air built up in this one, I'm gonna finish it off. So the goal is always to be rinsing down. It's a little slow going, but it does the job. Patience is a virtue and one you'll be exercising using something like this. As mentioned before though, this is by far the most efficient of the bunch. Put it on rinse. For those wondering, this is not a sponsored video. These came out of my bus. Like I said, Ryobi is the tool system I use that I carry with me. But any other tool system, be it Milwaukee, DeWalt, Hercules, Bauer, whatever, Makita, they carry similar items. Maybe not exactly the same, but similar items, and you can find them there. There's a clear winner, and that's obviously the battery-powered pressure washer in this case. Now, the little pump sprayer did a great job. The little battery operated one, the 1 gallon, also did a good job. The smaller items, maybe not as much. Which one works for you is up to you to decide. Last thing we need to do is dry the car and then get it ready for polishing. Oh, I have a helper.
Yvan?
Oui.
Je pense que tout le monde voudrait voir la vidéo qui est là.
À la prochaine. See you in the next one.